I were kind of teamworking last week on that oil rebuy story. I didn't have enough to go with it. The Wall Street Journal story yesterday. I'm surprised, Kayla, that story is not getting more attention in other parts of the media. I mean, that's a pretty big deal if you believe the reporting in the Journal. They have 4 reporters, by the way, 2 of whom I know personally and do quality work, that we're trying to delay the OPEC cut by making a deal with them that will buy more oil from them to refill the SPR. That seems like a really big deal.
It's an incredibly big deal for several reasons, Brian. And by the way, 4 reporters and 3 contributors. They had a lot of people making calls specifically sourced within the Saudi government on that story. But I think there's no question, Brian, that the midterms play such a key role in this. I mean, the fact that there was a delay proposed for 1 month, that is not a coincidence. I asked Brian Deese, who's the top economic aide to the president, whether the decision to extend out the drawdowns from the Strategic Petroleum Release into November, when they were supposed to expire or end in October, whether that was directly tied to the midterms. And he did not take the bait on that question, but it is clear that November 8th is the date that is circled on the calendar, and anything that they can do to move the needle for voters between now and then, or at least avoid some of these scenarios where things like gas prices would go up before then, they're trying to do whatever they can before then. So I think it was a blockbuster story, especially because oil majors had been in discussions with the administration about potentially selling oil to replenish the reserves by fourth quarter of next year. So there had been these discussions with a lot of U.S. companies thinking that they were going to be the ones replenishing, and instead the U.S. was talking to Saudi about doing it. We'll see how it pans out from here, Brian.
Yeah, at 75 or maybe slightly below on Brent crude, when we talked about it a couple of years ago, when oil was at 22 and 25, and it was called a bailout for big oil back then. Now we're at 75 or 95, whatever it might be, Kayla. It's politics. It's Chinatown.
Yes, and it's unclear where the price is going to go from here. And people I talked to within the administration say it takes several weeks to effect a decision to actually buy oil to put back in the SPRO. So even if it's at 75 for a couple weeks, that's really not seen as a long enough time to actually put that plan in motion. Yeah. And there's an expectation that oil prices are just going to go up as we go into the winter here. So who's to say when they're going to actually do it?
Well, we can say that I don't think this story is anywhere near being over. Kayla Tausche, great stuff, as always. Thank you very much. Kayla from the White House.